All right, go ahead.
3 years ago, I was in New York, sitting at a Starbucks, not far from Port Authority bus terminal, 8th Avenue, I believe, near maybe 38th Street, something like that. And I saw on the sidewalk in front of me, Ali MacGraw walking up the street. And I decided, Jesus, I have nothing better to do. I'm going to go out and follow Ali MacGraw, or see if it's Ali MacGraw at least. She was with a younger woman, probably in her mid-20s or so. Ali herself would have been 69 at the time. She looked pretty good. She had sort of summer casual, a top and some somewhat skinny jeans, with flat shoes, and her hair tied in a sort of little ponytail bun kind of thing. And so I started walking out, following her, and I really wanted to get close enough to see how much plastic surgery she'd had. And I thought ideally it would be great if I could hear a snippet of conversation too. I wasn't sure that was going to happen. There was a lot of people on the sidewalk. If she was still a block away, I'd have to run. I didn't want to be too obvious. So I kept going, and then suddenly a traffic light was turning red, and she crossed the street with her friend and started jaywalking, basically, because the traffic light had changed. And she sort of did this. I just remember she did this really, really grand gesture where she sort of started walking, and taxis and all those cars were gearing to go, and she just kind of stuck out her hand like this and stared and kind of just gave this very sort of look, this sort of look of real entitlement and do you know who I am? Don't you dare! I will cross the street. And so she crossed, and I was like, oh great, I've lost Ali MacGraw. But I kept going north, and at this point she was across the street on the side of 8th Avenue that is adjacent to Port Authority bus terminal. So I kept going a block or two up, and then the light was green, so I crossed, and I was heading to Ali. And at this point, on the corner of 8th and 42nd, I guess, Port Authority, she said goodbye to her young companion. And this woman looked like, 20-something, maybe a publicist or something like that. They didn't appear to know each other very well. Maybe met a few times. Maybe she was her publicist. At the time, she was appearing in not a revival, but in a Broadway adaptation of the Danish Dogma 95 film, The Celebration. But a family reunion, a 60th family gathers to celebrate the 60th birthday of the patriarch, wealthy patriarch, and one of the sons reveals a history of sexual abuse. And it just throws everything into chaos, and all these sort of family skeletons in the closet are sort of emerged. A sister had committed suicide. Anyway, the play, they'd done this Broadway adaptation, which was kind of receiving mostly negative reviews, I think, although Ali played the matriarch, and I think that role required not a lot of acting. Well, not a lot of lines. She basically just sort of reacted to the horrors that were going on around her. Because Ali MacGraw was never really thought of as a good actress. She was famously criticized for that. I think Pauline Kael said something about her in Love Story and how she registered emotion by flaring her nostrils or something like that. Anyway, so I heard her say goodbye to her companion. The only thing I heard her say was, I used to think I liked the ocean when I lived in Malibu, but then I moved to Santa Fe and I realized I don't like the ocean after all. And that's all. So that's the little pearl of wisdom I heard come from Ali MacGraw's lips. Anyway, I decided I was going to follow her a little more. I had nothing to do, and I figured she was going north. She was heading to the theater district, probably where I knew that this play was going on. And so I continued following her. At one point, I saw that she was onto me. She was sort of looking at me out of the corner of her eye and doing that. And at one point she started using her cell phone, and I thought, oh, what's going on? My paranoid nature, I thought, oh no, she's calling somebody, some security person who's going to force me to leave or something like that. But then I thought, no, she can't do that. It's a public street. And probably Ali MacGraw doesn't have any stalkers. I mean, who would be stalking MacGraw? Maybe 35 years ago she would have had, when she was with Robert Evans and Steve McQueen and all that, Love Story and The Getaway, and there would have been some glamour associated with her, and she might have had a few stalkers then. But probably not now. Anyway, I kept following her, and then I sort of realized it was time to go because she was on to me, and I wasn't going to get any more information. I couldn't hear a cell phone conversation, unfortunately, so I kind of went off on a side street, and that was the end of my Ali MacGraw encounter. What did I learn from that encounter? I learned that Ali MacGraw does not like the ocean.